Hi Sunshine Fam, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, let me introduce myself. My name is Chloe and I have been doing a series, a very long series called Presidential Highlights. So if this is the first video that you're watching of mine, we are at the end of discussing key events in the presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So you'll need to go back several videos to start with George Washington, because I'm doing every president from George Washington all the way through. So please hit the subscribe button below if you're new, hit the notification bell, like, share, please share, comment, and follow me on Twitter at Chloe.lb40. which I'm thinking of maybe changing that name too. So anyway, my arm is doing much better now. It's pretty much back to normal. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. This is the very last video for FDR. For those of you that haven't watched the other ones, he served 12 years as president. He was inaugurated 4 times, but in his at the beginning of his 4th term, he died. So we're going to get into that today. So we are starting today with 1944. So January 31st, the U.S. invades the Marshall Islands. On February 2nd, Roy Island was the first to fall. All islands fall within 3 weeks of that. Now remember, we're in World War II, for those of you that are not keeping track. February 20th, the big week. U.S. suffers heavy losses from air raids on German aircraft production. It weakens Germany's air capacity. March 29th, Congress approves the joint resolution appropriating $1.35 billion for UN Relief and Rehabilitation Agency. April 3rd, Smith versus Albright. The Supreme Court rules white-only primary by Democrats unconstitutional. I'm getting to know that word quite well with all of these presidential highlights. May 3rd, the Office of Price Administration, or OPA. It ends the meat rationing except steak and other cuts of beef. It didn't specify which ones. June 4th, the Allied forces enter Rome. After German troops evacuate, they enter Rome after German troops evacuate in retreat. I think that's what it meant. I wrote this out a while ago, so I'm trying to remember exactly how that went. Maybe after the Allied forces enter Rome, then German troops evacuate in retreat. That makes more sense. Please forgive me for fumbling. Beginning of the end of the German resistance in Italy. June 6th, D-Day. Operation Overlord begins. 4,000 invasion ships, 600 warships, 10,000 planes, 176,000 Allied troops. They land on the beaches of Normandy, France, and by the end of the day, 150,000 Allied troops safely reach the beach. Star Shadow. I'm not going to laugh. June 13th, V-1 flying bombs. Germans use jet-propelled pilotless bombers launched from France and Belgium to Britain. Only one buzz bomb reached London. July 15th, B-29 super fortresses. They were based in China, and it begins the first air raids on Japan. U.S. lands in Spain and falls on July 9th. U.S. lost 3,400 lives. Japan lost 27,000. June 19th, the Battle of Philippine Sea. U.S. wins the air-naval battle as Japan loses 400 planes and 3 carriers. June 22nd, the GI Bill of Rights. The FDR signed the Servicemen's Readjustment Act, and it provides financial aid to vets for education, housing, and other needs. Now, I don't remember if I put this in any of my other videos, but I did look up to see if the GI Bill is still in use today. It's not called the GI Bill, but a version of it still exists today for vets of the military. July 1st, nominations. Convention in Chicago, Republicans, New York Governor Thomas E. Dewey and Ohio Governor John Bricker were nominated as president and vice president. Democrats nominate FDR for the fourth term and Senator Henry S. Truman of Missouri for vice president. The same day, representatives meet at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. I think it's Bretton Woods. Bretton Woods, maybe? I don't know. Again, I can't read my writing. 34 nations for monetary and financial convention. It establishes the International Money Fund, or the IMF, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or the World Bank. July 22nd, the assassination attempt. A bomb explodes near Hitler's headquarters. He escapes without a scratch, however, in East Prussia. Many high-level officers and politicians were executed for their role. I'm presuming Hitler had them executed. July 25th, Operation Cobra. U.S. forces led by General Omar Bradley coordinated offensive to cut off German forces in Brittany. Brittany falls to the Allies 2 weeks later. August 10th, Guam is retaken by the U.S. after 20 days of fighting. 17,000 Japanese and 7,000 U.S. Were killed. August 14th, the War Production Board. It allows resumption of various consumer goods, such as vacuums, electric ranges, and cooking utensils. August 21st, Dumbarton Oaks Convention. Representatives from the U.S., Britain, China, and the USSR take part in this. It lays the groundwork for the UN, or the United Nations, which promotes peaceful and legal solutions to international problems. August 25th, the Allied forces liberate Paris, France. September 8th, German V-2 rockets. The first rockets land in England, and they're faster and more powerful than the V-1 rockets were. Again, September 11th. Now, this was 1944, so remember, this is 56 years before we were attacked on that same exact day, which we will get into when we get to George W. Bush Jr. Octagon Conference in Quebec, or Quebec, however you want to pronounce it. FDR and Churchill discussed strategies for pursuing Germany and Japan, because they were the big bad guys during the World War II. September 12th, U.S. troops engaged German troops on German soil for the first time. October 20th, U.S. invades, I think it's Leyte Island, Leyte. It's in the Philippines and led by General MacArthur. It states he fulfilled his promise to return. States he fulfilled his promise to return, because if you remember, he said, I will return to the Philippines, and he did. 3 days later, Japan steps in to stop the invasion. Forces meet in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. I might be pronouncing that wrong, so please don't butcher me for that. The largest naval engagement in the war. November 7th, FDR wins. It was his fourth term. The electoral votes were 432 to 99. December 16th, Germany launches its final offensive, counteracting Allied defenses in Ardennes Forest, and it was the Battle of the Bulge, which I seriously didn't realize that was associated with World War II. December 31st, the cost of living. Federal government tries to control wages and prices. The cost of living is a 30% increase since the beginning of U.S. involvement in the war. 1945, we're finally to the end, last year. January 20th, FDR was inaugurated. And remember, Truman, was it Truman was his vice president? Hang on a second. Yes, Harry Truman is his vice president now. February 4th, Yalta conferences in Crimea. The Big Three meet to discuss final assaults on Germany. They sign a declaration on liberated Europe. The same day, U.S. troops capture Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. February 19th, Marines capture Iwo Jima. The engagement leaves 4,000 U.S. and 20,000 Japanese dead. It kind of reminds me of that one guy in one of the Die Hard movies, the one where he's at the airport and the janitor is like, it reminds me of Iwo Jima. Or it's just like Iwo Jima, whatever. April 1st, the U.S. captures Okinawa. 80,000 U.S. and 120,000 Japanese died. April 9th, the national poll. 81% of the U.S. favor the creation of International Peace Organization. 26% supported it in 1937, so that was a big increase. April 12th, FDR dies. Now, if you remember, he was confined to a wheelchair. I think he had polio. I didn't do a lot of research on that. But if you're interested, I can certainly look it up and either respond to a comment if you want to ask me about that, or I can make another video if it requires another video. While vacationing in Warm Springs, Georgia, he died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage. Harry Truman was sworn in as the 33rd president. So FDR, a lot happened during his time. So if we just kind of briefly recap, when Hoover was president, that was during the Great Depression, and in 4 years, everything went to pot in this country. Lots of banks closed, the stock market crashed, lots of people took their lives over losing all that money, and within 5 days of FDR being inaugurated in 1939, 38, 39? I gotta go way back, sorry. It was a long time ago, that's all I know. A long time ago in the videos. Oh my gosh. 33, I'm sorry, 1933. When FDR was first inaugurated to be president. He was inaugurated, that was the last time that inauguration was held on March 4th. And then in his second term, they changed the inauguration date from March 4th to January 20th, or right around January 20th. On March 9th of 1933, banks were already starting to reopen. And he, with his New Deal, to put people back to work, to reopen businesses and banks, and he really did a lot for this country. So people all look to, who was the greatest president and stuff like that, and a lot of people look to like JFK or Abraham Lincoln or those people. But if you think about it, FDR really turned this country around, and he's usually not on the list. So I really think FDR is one of the greatest, if not the greatest president we've had to turn this country around in such a short period of time. And you guys might be wondering about the atomic bomb. That actually doesn't happen until Truman's presidency, so that'll be in the next video. I'd like to encourage you to please read the descriptions that I put on my videos, because I do leave information on there. And I would also like my Sunshine fam to welcome a new subscriber. Well, I think he's been a subscriber for a while, but I just didn't know that he was subscribed. His name is Nathan. So please, everybody, welcome Nathan to the Sunshine fam in the comments below. Welcome to you, Nathan. If you've been watching a while, I'm sorry that I haven't given you a shout out before, but I just found out that you're subscribed to me. I don't know if you're watching my videos, but welcome to you. An official welcome to the Sunshine fam. And I did say that I'd be making a big announcement, not quite yet. In the next video, I will be making a very big announcement. So, and no, it has nothing to do with my move. It has nothing to do with what's going on here in the Twin Cities, which today, which is April 19th, 2020, the jury now has the case of Derek Chauvin in their hands. So we really need your prayers right now. If you're watching this years later, then obviously you know what happened. We don't right now, but I'm really hoping it's not going to be a hung jury. I'm really hoping they don't find him not guilty. And I always thought that the third-degree murder is the one that held the longest prison sentence. It's actually second-degree murder holds a sentence of 40 years and up to 40 years. So I'm hoping he gets that. I really am. That might surprise you. I am not one that is an eye for an eye, but he needs to be held accountable for what he did. So keep watching our local news, KSTP, WCCO, KARE, the number 11, and KMSP. I tend to watch KSTP, which those four are our local stations. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, those are all the national ones. Watch the ones I just told you. Those are our local channels. Also, keep praying for us with everything that's going on in McClellan Center. We've had 8 nights now of curfews, and things seem to be settling down. And then we had no arrests on Thursday night, and then Friday night we had over 100 arrests. So people are still protesting. They keep calling for justice. For what? What kind of justice do they want? The officer already resigned. The chief of police already resigned. The officer has already been charged. Yes, she got booked into the Hennepin County Jail, and within hours she was let out on a $100,000 bail without I can't think of the word. It starts with a C. Conditions. And I just read an article on one of our local news outlets last night that said that she and her family have relocated out of state for her safety. Her house is barricaded and there's police presence there 24/7. I feel sorry for her neighbors that might have kids that, I haven't heard of anybody going and doing anything to the house or protesting at the house. It's all been outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department. But if they do tend to go to her house, I feel sorry for the people that live in that neighborhood. So please pray for us here in the Twin Cities, and let's just hope this comes to a peaceful end here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you for joining me for this extremely long series of FDR. It ended up being 7 parts. It should be downhill from here. Because he is the only president that served more than 2 terms. So Truman's is not quite as long. I do have his stuff written out, so I should be able to get his done in one video. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for sharing my videos. I appreciate it. Again, welcome to Nathan. And